Well, I'm curious, how do you change negative thoughts into positive ones?
Great question, because changing negative thoughts into positive thoughts is really what it's all about. And when somebody comes into my office and wants me to work with them hypnotically, that's really what's going on. I'm just changing their negative thoughts into positive thoughts. So when we look at that in relation to wealth or anything else, we find that we first have to catch the negative thoughts. We have to figure out what they are. We have to see that thought floating by. We have to catch it. We have to look at it and say, what are you doing in my brain? Look at this. Look at this negative thought. And we have to really analyze it. We have to think about it. Wow, this thing's been floating by my brain a lot. And I have finally latched onto it and caught it. I'm going to isolate it, and I'm going to work on getting rid of it. I'm going to take its power away. So the first thing you have to do is catch the negative thoughts. And unfortunately, they're everywhere all the time. Negative thoughts are so easy. I shared the idea of, oh, you're such an idiot. That came from my father, who, again, had the best intentions for me, but that's just his way of expressing himself and encouraging me to do better. Well, some people have it a lot worse than that. Some people have all kinds of terrible words that have come to them from parents and other people. And every time something happens, they think, well, that's just the way it goes for me. That's my luck. Oh, if it was going to happen to anyone, of course it was going to happen to me. That's the way it goes. So negative thoughts like this, not only negative thoughts that negative things are going to happen to them, but negative thoughts that go so far as to say that when those negative things do happen to them, they somehow deserve it because they're being punished for being them. So this can really go far, and I found this out from working with clients in a hypnotic setting, working with people through hypnosis to help them. First, you have to catch these negative thoughts and realize that they've possibly grown from a seed into this large oak tree that needs to be removed from the forest, or at least it needs to lose its power. So catch the negative thoughts, and if you have a lot of them, then just work on a few at a time, or maybe even one. Sometimes there's just this one core negative thought that people have, and they really don't understand that all the other negative thoughts come from that negative thought. For example, some people believe they're just not worthy of wealth. Some people have that as a negative thought. It can get there in all kinds of ways. Maybe their parents didn't have a lot. Maybe their parents talked about rich people being bad. Rich people are so-and-sos because they're so mean with their money, and maybe these ideas got in the person's head, so they think that they shouldn't have wealth for whatever reason. And this type of core negative thought, this idea of wealth aversion, that I shouldn't have it because it's bad or it's not for me or I'm not worthy, but this idea of being averse to wealth can spawn all kinds of other thoughts and actions. So if you can reach out and catch something that I would consider to be a core thought, core negative thought, then that's very powerful. Then you can start to look at it and say, thought, what are you doing here? How did you get here? How many ways have you affected my life? And so forth. So the next step after you've caught on to that thought, for some people it's very easy. They can just readily realize it. For some people they may have to backtrack a little bit and find out what's really going on, what the thought really is. The next step is to find a positive aspect of the thought. Now, you may think, well, if someone has a thought that they shouldn't be wealthy, that they don't deserve wealth, well, what's the positive aspect of the thought? Well, if you think about it, at least the thought is about wealth. At least the thought has to do with money. At least you're thinking about money. At least there's some inkling of hope there because money is on your mind. The opposite of that would be apathy. I don't even think about wealth. Doesn't even come to mind. Obviously, wealth is on this person's mind, even if it's the negative aspect of it, even if it's this pushing away from wealth. At least wealth is on their mind. So there's the positive aspect of wealth and the positive aspect of this thought. So when you think about it, you've got something going on. You've got a consistent thought about wealth. Even if it's a negative thought about wealth, at least it's there. At least it's part of the constellation of thoughts in your mind. The next step is to align your intentions with new positive thoughts. So, whereas you initially caught that negative thought, you looked at it, you realized the positive aspect of the thought, you then take that a step further in there and you look for ways that you can create intentions that are going to be helpful for you. So, for example, if you've caught the thought that I don't deserve to be wealthy, if that's a thought in your mind that you don't deserve to be wealthy for whatever reason, you've caught it, you've looked at the positive aspect of it, which is that at least you're thinking about wealth, in that you start to create a positive thought about it, which would be, of course, I do deserve wealth. I do deserve to be wealthy. I do deserve to be successful. And then you start to align your intentions with the new positive thoughts. And this idea of intentions goes back to what I said about affirmations. Affirmations should be stated in the positive. They should be stated as if they're already happening. And they should be as succinct, meaning as short and as focused, as specific as possible. So a great intention would be, I have $100,000 in the bank. That's very succinct. It's as if it's already happened. It's very specific, very focused. So it meets the qualifications of being a great intention. So rather than just having this vague idea of, okay, I caught this negative thought that I don't deserve to be wealthy, and I change it to I do deserve to be wealthy, that's nice, and that is good, and you should do that. That is a definite positive step. But as you change this into an intention, it needs to be solid. It needs to be a goal that you can focus on. So then you start to incorporate this into your affirmations, your 1-year plan, your 5-year plan, your 10-year plan. What's it going to look like if I start to change this around? What's it going to look like if I start to embrace the idea of, okay, I am wealthy. I am going to make this happen. What does that look like on paper? Go ahead and write that down. In fact, you can do that now. What are your goals with this? How much money do you want to have a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? What's actually going to happen? So you align your intentions with your new positive thoughts. Your new positive thoughts are the fact that you're going to have more money. Well, what are your intentions related to that? How are you going to actually make that happen? What do you intend to do? And so when you write that down and you make it all happen, then it becomes reality. So with practice, it becomes almost automatic. I mean, this is, and Joe, you know this is practically automatic now. You see these negative thoughts and you think, what is that doing there? It's sort of like, a painter who's painted a wall blue. He painted over white. There was a white wall and he painted it blue. And there's a little speck of white there. And the painter says, what is that doing there? It stands out like that. And Joe, you and I know this, and I want everyone else to know this, that once you start looking for these negative thoughts and isolating them and counteracting them, then any other negative thoughts that pop up really look out of place. It looks like a room full of antiques with something in there made out of stone, something from the Stone Age in a room full of, let's say, wooden antiques. It really stands out. What is that doing there? Or in a room full of modern furniture, it stands out like a wooden antique. That's out of place. So you realize these thoughts that predate your current positive thoughts, you start to realize them. They stand out. They don't belong there. And so you can start to pick them out and you can start to go through this process. So again, the process of changing negative thoughts into positive ones would be, first you have to catch the negative thought. You see it floating around, maybe you see a bunch of them, but attempt to get to the core of the negative thought. There's probably one thought that's sprouted all these other various thoughts, that one core thought. So look for those core negative thoughts. Catch that. Find a positive aspect of the thought. Well, at least I'm thinking about wealth. Okay, you're going to start believing in wealth. That's great, but exactly how much wealth and when? Make it something that you can focus on, and then align your intentions with your new positive thoughts, and realize that with practice, this becomes practically automatic.